Alright everybody, welcome back to some more Pokemon Silver. It is I, Xilestar, and today we're going to continue with where we left off, which was beating, I think, the 6th gym? Oh, game? Oh, wrong button. Alright. Did it go to the 6th gym? Was it the 6th gym? It was. Okay, so now we're dealing with the 7th gym, which is, I think it's Price, I think? We should have, I don't want to say an easier time, but we should have a decent time with this, since we now have a fire type as our main Pokemon. The only difference is that we don't really have a good fire type move. But one thing is for sure is that I want to teach the Holium a Shadow Ball, because Shadow Ball is actually going to be very helpful, especially since in this game, in particular, it's actually a physical move because it is a Ghost type move. Ghost type. I clicked the wrong button, didn't I? Alright. I clicked the wrong button. Where's the button? Where is it? Is it not here? There's a button that allows you to do... Oh, here it is. My bad. Okay, well, I clicked the wrong button. I clicked A too fast. So we got rid of Sacred Fire. Or Gust. Yes. I understand. I'm used to it switching to a different menu. That's why. Because I'm so used to the new games where it changes into a different menu. Is there a different move we can teach Ho? No. Or not really one that I really want to give it. Alright, let's go through the gym. I do not remember the puzzle, though. No, I'm just going to start with these two trainers, though. Alright, first things first that I wanted to mention, right before we do really too much, is that I am still sick. So if you do hear, like, me stopping, like, talking like this, that is because I am sick and I am currently doing something that I don't really want to do for, like, I don't really want to have on my videos, so, yeah. Although, I will admit one thing, though, is that, like, it did actually get into a video. Well, technically two, because of the complete, but technically it's on 2 videos, but it's fine because you don't really hear the full thing. You just hear it start before I have the time to actually go click it. So it's all fine. It's all good. Okay. Gust. So I have also, so last time I was trying to figure out if the game that I found out that other people were playing, if the one that I got was the right one that they were using, because I really liked the one that they were playing because some of the Pokemon were really cool, and I found out that mine might be it. But I haven't played it till the point of where you can actually see that Pokemon. So I'm going to that point in which I can. I'm close to it. I just need the second part of it so I can be able to go get that Pokemon. And once I am, I'll be able to... that will probably be the next game that we play. So I will mention 2 things about it. One is that it is pretty much Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. So which means that we're going back to the original games in a sense, but with updated, with heavily updated graphics, and with close to the current generation, which is we're in Generation 9 now, but this game has up until Generation 7, but only has, like, mixed Pokemon from it. So it's not like a one-to-one kind of thing where it's like you can, where like if you were able to trade Pokemon from your Sun and Moon over to like this game, it would be able to go through, right? It's only some Pokemon that are passed through. Similar to how like if you've played the mod that for Minecraft called Cobblemon, where they have I think they have all of Generation 1, and they have parts of other generations in there too. It's a similar idea where, sure, like they have like some of it, but like they don't have all of it kind of thing. So right now I only have one piece than the other, so I'm trying to figure out how to get the second piece, or the second item. There's not really a good, like, I don't want to say walkthrough, but like there's not really a good source of information to find out where to get everything. I have used Reddit for the game. It has gotten me some things. It has clarified a few things that I thought of, so that's good. But it has also kind of just given me the ideas of like what to put in. I've also been testing around with other things in order for it to be, for me to be able to plan it out and stuff like that. So I already have like difference of like what I could attempt for the game itself. Okay, this isn't fair, man. Thank you. So like I'm able to like be able to come up with a challenge or something like that for it. There's only one that I can think of, which would be very cool. But you'll definitely know based upon like if I like say the name of the game kind of thing. Like if I were to tell you the name of the game, you'd probably already know. Okay, so like I've seen other people play this on YouTube, so I already know kind of what your challenge might be. But I hate to be like that sort of simple, if that makes sense. Even though there's not really any like anything else I could end up making that can make it even more of a challenge. But anyway. But since it's a Pokemon game, it's going to be like normal rules. Pokeballs only to catch Pokemon. Even though I think it has like some custom Pokeballs, but still same thing. Only Pokeballs to catch Pokemon. Try and stick towards like one Pokemon per route, but this one has a unique mechanic that I might just use a little bit, but I'm not quite sure how I want it to be used, so. Okay, so now I know how to do it. Okay. Now it's just the gym leader. Increase all our power points. Yeah, because I don't remember, like... Because we've only ever done 2 Pokemon fan games on the channel. We did Insurgents first. I thought Insurgents would be perfect because of the fact that it's a very long game. There's a lot of content to be done there. And there still is. Like, there still is content that I could do for that game in particular. Like, just because, like, I stopped the series doesn't mean that, like, oh, there's nothing for us to do. There still is. The only reason why I stopped recording it is because there's so many things to do that I don't know what people want to see. So I stopped. I stopped on a good note. I did as much as I did normally, minus like a couple things, but that's only because like those are very easy to do. Like, I was able to do the Meloetta part, which I'm very sad that they nerfed with the current version. I was very sad to hear that. I liked the original. Just the original, you just needed to know how that type of puzzle how that type of puzzle works. There's some good online... I think I found a Reddit post that led to a website that tells you how to solve those kinds of puzzles. Which I do recommend, like, if you do get the original copy of Insurgents, like version 1.1 or version whatever that gets you towards the finished game, I think the version I had was 1.2.3, I think, was when I finished the game before I got before I found out that there was a 1.2.7, I think. I think maybe like a lot of people just didn't understand the puzzle, and that's probably why that the one who like designed the puzzle probably just changed it. I think it would have been probably maybe a little bit better if what they did is instead they instead of doing what they did, they ended up making it so that each and every one is unique. Okay. Okay. So yeah, so like I don't really understand. Anyway. So yeah, so like I've been trying to get that game kind of like working to the way that I want it to. There'll be a few things that I want to mention because it'll make things much easier. And a few things that I found out while I was playing, I'll also mention them too, but I think I'll mention them the time where it would be more appropriate to mention it. So, like, instead of me just mentioning it all at once and you go, whoa, this is, like, information overload. It's like, okay, I'm going to go wait until when that information becomes, like, sort of, like, needed to know. Or just show it off. Like, and I'll be able to show it off at that time, too. There was one that I was trying to do I was trying to do it, like, in the normal games. And I was confused when, like, it wasn't working. So I looked on, so I didn't look at online or anything like that. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go do something else instead. And then quite by accident, I found out how to do it. And I was really confused by the fact that, like, I could do it that way. So I was like, okay, whatever. We need to head back to Golden Nod, if it's right. So we need to head down here. So as I currently speak, like I've almost finished Minecraft 1.21's base. It's a lot more done now. Close to the way that I want it, but more so like because like it's bigger than what I imagined I wanted it to be. And I could definitely tell you, like, where it's bigger than I really wanted it, but it's fine. It's not... I don't want to say it's not a huge deal, but, like, it's more so, like, something that's, like, always inside my mind is, like, I always like to have my bases small. Or as condensed as possible. Or in a way to kind of, like, better explain it, I always like to make my bases as small as possible. So, like, while sure you can make a big room that's, like, 20 by 20, I would rather make a room 5 by 5 if it fits everything in there in a neat little area. Because the thing is that, like, if you have to make a 20 by 20 area and then fill in those empty gaps, I'd rather not do that. I'd rather just build a 5 by 5 room and then just like fill it in from there, because then it's going to be filled either way. Like, it's the same thing with, like, Minecraft houses in general. Like, I don't build big houses in Minecraft anymore. Look at Pixelmon Adventures. I just took a what was it? I took a blacksmith house and converted it into a base. Like, did I need to do that? No, I didn't need to do that, but like I could have built something like from scratch, but I always liked the original blacksmithing houses in Minecraft in general. So, you know, like, me using it in my design, it's fine. Like, I've already, like, grown to love doing that. Like, the only one that, like, there's a few villager houses that I actually like the most, that I like to always use. There's always the big house, that's always really good, but I always like to change a lot of the inside and the outside a little bit. And same idea with, like, the blacksmithing house, too. Like, the blacksmithing house, I changed a little bit of the inside, but more so it's the outside blocks. Like, sometimes I'd rather change it to stone brick or something else. And now, with the current session, I don't think it's up. I don't think it's going up now, but the one I just recorded. We do have something brand new and cool, but I have to do a little bit of maintenance on that. I'm going to be doing that a little bit later, after recording this, of course, so though I can do maintenance on that and figure out what happened. Why is it broken? What broke about it? And I'm wondering if it's because of the Pixelmon versions. Like, it went from, what was the version I played originally? I think it was like 8.2 or something like that. Or 8.3 or whatever, and now it's like 8.4. So it's like, did it corrupt itself because of the different version? Or is it something else? So I'm trying to figure out, like, what's going on here. So it's like, by all means, like, it's gonna get done, but, like, I gotta go and figure out, like, what actually happened, fix it. I'm gonna fix it in creative mode because of the fact that, like, while I hate to do a lot of things in creative mode for the server, I mean, there's only one teleport location that I actually use spectator mode, but I'm gonna go fix that maybe too, so we don't have to keep doing that. But again, for this creation, like, I'm gonna use creative mode to fix it because it shouldn't have been broken in the first place, if that makes sense. Like, it was broken, but it shouldn't have been. And that's like it's a very sad thing to see, though, is that, like, when you're trying to get something to work and then you see something that breaks and you're like, wait, how did that break? It's really sad. It's the same thing with what happens when I make something new in Oblivion script, where, like, I go and look at the code and I'm like, okay, I know how this is supposed to work, and then when you try it and then it doesn't work, it's like, wait, how come it's not working the way I intended it? Like, I look at the code, it's like, it looks perfect, but why isn't it working? And this is why it's like, for that kind of stuff, though, it's always really good to have a second pair of eyes that looks at it. Because while your eyes are, I don't want to say aren't trained enough to be able to see it, but like you're illusioned into seeing that it works perfectly fine. And then they're not. They're just looking at a random piece of code, right? They're just looking at a random piece of code going like, here's the error, here's the error, here's the error. So it's a good tool. It's more of like you're asking them to sort of debug what's going on, kind of thing. I mean, like the one interaction that I was really confused of was the whole turning from the, like, if you were to hold the I don't think this would spoil it because technically I used it in the current uploads of, or the current uploads of the Oblivion modded playthrough, so you should be fine. But the current version of the Dragon Lord armor, for instance, like, so at first what I wanted to do was that I wanted to give the Dragon Lord the speed script, although I think I originally said that I wasn't going to do it because, well, this one was supposed to be before and then now it's the after, but like I chose against that because the speed thing is really, really hurtful. So I chose to give the armor that ability. However, it had a little bit of an issue when you combined it with the Dark King's armor. So what happened was that what's supposed to happen is that when the Dragon Lord's armor is being unequipped... Oh, I clicked the wrong button. Is that when the Dragon Lord's armor is being unequipped for the Dark King's armor, I thought it would happen instantaneously. Which it might, but because of the way that the script works, it goes through different stages. So I'm going to explain a little bit of how the Dragon Lord's armor works, so you get a better idea of what the issue actually is, kind of thing. So when you equip the armor, it grabs what your current speed is, which is similar to how the Dark King's armor works. If you have the appropriate orb attached, they both grab the same value. They both grab what your current speed is, so though it stores it as a value that it can use later on. So when you go ahead and start walking, it suppresses your speed down to 50. Which is good, because it's exactly what it's supposed to do. It suppresses your speed down to 50, so it looks like you can actually walk, rather than pretending that you're just... So instead of you walking down the stairs and then just sort of making like a small jump because the physics engine in Oblivion, you're just sort of just slowly tripping yourself over and over again. Because that's what it looks like, pretty much. So instead of that, that's why I designed this code to be, is that like you actually walk when you're when you toggle walking instead of running. Now that part of the script was working fine, but it was when it was being unequipped. So when you unequip the Dragon Lord's armor, it's supposed to revert your speed back to normal if you were walking before it finished. So if your character is walking because your speed is at 50, it needs to reverse that. Right? So that's the first thing that it does, is that it reverses whatever it needs to be done. So whatever you suppressed it with, you need to now, like, regain it. So that part was working fine. And then what it's supposed to do after the fact is unequip everything, and then it's supposed to, like, it removes all the spells and all the active abilities and stuff like that. And then after that, what it's supposed to do is that it is supposed to change the run value down to 0, so that the next time you equip it, let's say, if you've gained 2 speed, it's not going to go and reduce your speed by 2 because it remembers from previous, right? It now remembers the new value, which apparently was a great oversight I made early on, because apparently I didn't make it do that. I didn't make it grab a new value, so oops. But now it does do that, so that's probably why my character speed was so down. Anyway. So besides that, that's exactly what it's supposed to do. But for the armor, it changes that value down to 0. Alright, so when you unequip the armor, it changes that value to 0. Very, very problematic. but nothing too major. So what happens if you equip the armor in the hood? Well, what's normally supposed to happen is that when you unequip the armor and then the hood itself, the interaction that it was first having was that, like, it would reduce your speed down to, what was it? It would reduce your speed down to, like, if you normally started with 100 speed, it would reduce it down to 80 speed. And I was really confused by what it was doing, because that doesn't make any sense to me. Because the one that gives you, that increases your speed and all that stuff is the, what is it? What is it? Oh, what is it? I can't remember. What was it again? Yeah, so, like, I was trying to figure out what was wrong with that, and apparently it was conflicting with the armor, apparently, while doing so. So I was trying to figure out why it was doing that. And I was asking someone to help me try and clarify this, and he was trying to get me to rebuild the entire thing from scratch, and I was like, it's not that kind of problem. It's more of an interaction that I don't understand what's going on. And later on I solved it because I took a double look and I figured out what could be the issue, and then it was fixed. And then I thought of a random scenario in which somebody who uses the Dark Dragon Lord's armor runs around, you know, doing whatever, and then they're like, okay, I need to use the Dark King's armor. They cast the spell to go and be the Dark King, and now your speed is down by 20. And now we have a new issue. Well, that doesn't make any sense because they're using the same script. So what's going on? Well, how I had the... It wasn't revert, it was conjure, sorry. I'm thinking revert is the one that's causing the armor to appear, but it's not. But for conjure, what it does is that it gives you the weapon first, I believe. Hang on. I remember the rotation for the most part. I don't remember everything about it though. It's, oops, that's not the one. That's the one. Yeah, it's the sword first, and then it was the armor, and then it was the hood. Now, remember what I said about how the run value works? Well, when the Dragon Lord's armor gets unequipped, it reverts it to 0. And then what happens is that the next piece after the armor is added to your inventory and then equipped, it is the hood, which then removes 20 of that, which removes 20 of the value because of the fact that the hoods give you a active ability that boosts all of your attributes, and I think it also boosts magic. I'm not quite sure. I don't know what the magic is, but I know for the attributes it's 20, so that's why you have to add 20 with the hood kind of thing. Now, you don't technically need to do that with the Dark King's armor because the orb that stores the value is added on after all of that, like after the blade, the hood, the armor is added to your inventory and equipped. So they're like added on after the fact. And because they're added on after the fact, you don't need to worry about them. So you're good to go. Okay. So So yeah, so figuring out a solution for that problem was actually really interesting. It reminds me of how I had to create, how to add Soul Link to the player if they didn't grab the Dark King's Heart, or they didn't grab the Eternal Darkness Tome, or whatever. Like, if they didn't grab that item in order to gain Soul Link themselves. So I had to go and give Soul Link to other, like, sort of parties, so though at the very least you can still interact with that stuff. Sorry, trying to remember where to go. I think it's this. No, it's not that. I think it's this. Yeah. Oh, goody. Yeah, I do have a rare Pokemon. It's called a legendary bird called Ho-Oh. You're not going to be strong enough to deal with it, though. But yeah, so like, that's the kind of thing though that I was sort of like that's the kind of thing that I had to deal with though when I was trying to figure out like different solutions to the problem that I was having. And it was not fun to try and figure out a solution to the Dragon Lord's armor and hood and stuff because of that fact. Also, the other thing that I had a huge problem with was how it was I think it was the shield and the sword itself. That was the most difficult thing to ever figure out what was going on. So all 4 pieces of the armor have a little line in their code that say that when it is equipped, if you are not a part of a faction that makes every enemy sort of target you, so that we don't run into that personality issue, which apparently is a plague on the game, things will now attack you. So I was trying to make sure that each and every one of the items, so even if you equip the sword, enemies will attack you on sight kind of thing. If you have the armor equipped, it does the same thing. If you have the hood, like if you only have one of the items equipped, you'll be fine. So if you equip a second one, sure, you will have it. Like you will still have the ability for you to have the faction. Like the sword, like even if you were to equip, let's say, the sword and the hood, and the sword was the first thing you equipped, that doesn't mean that if you unequip the sword, you lose the faction. So you get away with the hood, right? No. The code works that, like, as long as it is the last one, when it is unequipped, it will remove you from the faction. Like, I was trying to figure out what was going on, and then one issue that I had, or technically the first one that I had, was that, what was the first issue? Oh, wait, yeah. So the first issue was that when you get towards the area in which that the armor is, like, when you get close to the container, you get, the faction's added to you, automatically. And I was confused by why that was happening, because it shouldn't have happened. Because that was the first problem. And the second was that, like, as soon as you try to, so even if you were to use the console to kind of remove you from that faction, and then you start equipping items, only I think it was like some of the items were giving you the faction and other ones were not. It was either that or like it would work as intended to give it to you, but it wasn't removing it, which was problematic. So I asked someone to help me to try and get it done. Then we both got it to eventually work, which was amazing. I'm very happy about it. So now the only problem is, like, how do we make it so though, like, the person goes like, so though that that quest that the Dragon Lord has that is associated to having that faction thing, how do we get it to sort of work now? And the answer is kind of obvious, isn't it? When you escape the Imperial City sewers, or when you first install my mod kind of thing, that's when the Dragon Lord and the Dark King sort of factions, or their quests technically, their hidden quests that deal with all the faction stuff, proc. That's when they both work. And they both make sure that you are vilified of bandits and marauders and necromancers and conjurers, and even certain creature factions. The only ones that I haven't done is goblins, but I haven't really done much testing to figure out if goblins actually do hate you when you wear the armor. So I'm going to figure out through the Dragon Lord's armor of the different goblin areas. I can't remember them all. I did like one and I think one of them is like automatically, I think one of the goblin clans is already dead, I think, when you get there, or is like or is being attacked or something like that. So I got to figure out like if they would actually attack you, because if they do, then obviously I have to go and add the goblin clans over to that, or grab that specific goblin clan, because obviously they do not like they obviously love the player because of their personality. I know for a fact that normal goblins will attack the player, but it's the clans in particular, because they have a special name kind of attached to it. They have the clan name in their name kind of thing. I think one of them was like Breakneck or something like that, or Broke Neck or something like that, or Broken Tooth or something like that. Anyway, so like it's called like they're called like Broken Tooth Goblin, whatever they are. So like Goblin Shaman, let's say. So like they have special names and they have their own special faction that is associated towards those goblins. So I'm trying to figure out, like, will it become a problem or will it not? Because if it does end up becoming a problem where I need to start adding goblin tribes, hey, don't get me wrong, I will do it. I will add them in. And in case anybody is, like there's a few things that I wanted it to be done through, scripts in general. And there's actually a very good reason why I want it to be done in scripts rather than just changing the overall, like a base game of Oblivion. The reason why is because, like, I'm a very big nostalgia kind of guy, specifically for Oblivion. I could go through, like, Oblivion 100 times, and I'll still find some way in loving it. And also technically hating it too, but that's beside the point. Like, I'll find a way to love and hate Oblivion, sure, but, like, at the end of the day, I still love Oblivion. Okay. So yeah, so like there was one time in which that I was trying to figure out something. And that something specifically was like trying to figure out like how I can change the light spell graphic to being the light spell graphic, instead of being that green hue that everybody sort of probably doesn't like, to a torch light. So that orangey glow kind of thing. I was trying to figure out if it can be done, or if it can be possible to do it through a spell, because I don't want to go and change the actual like light spell graphic. You can do it, or if you have to do it that way, if there's a way you can do it through scripting instead. I was told that why don't you just change it? Why don't you just make a small mod and just change it? It's like, well, it doesn't really help me now, does it? So, and then somebody told me though that like you can't do that with scripts. So, like I was kind of, I don't want to say wasting their time, but like I was kind of like not being reasonable for that kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, sorry for like, you know, sorry for saying that. Yeah, so like, so when I was told that like it's not possible to do it through scripting, somebody else tried to help me out, and I think this was the first time I think that we started like communicating over that, and I was really happy. So because we were able to get it to work. So. So yeah, so like if you ever watch any of the new Oblivion modded playthrough ones and you see the, or mod playthrough actually, not really modded playthrough, mod playthrough, and you see the whole like light effect that happens whenever we enter an interior, that's the result that we got. The only thing is that like it kind of looks like that it's going from, like it's appearing below the player's feet, which is, I guess, an okay side effect. Like it's an okay side effect that it appears like it's coming from the ground though, but like it is not something that I really would want at the end of the day. Like the one that I would have loved to have or be able to get a hold of instead would have been to get a hold of brain will catch up soon. Like if it actually like occupied the same space on the screen as a normal torch. Now I don't know if you have to do that through third person or first person. Doesn't really matter now because I use a third person camera changer thing. So, or an immersive camera where like you can actually see your third person self kind of thing. It looks weird because of the animation mod that I'm using. Even the archery one, I think the animation one that I'm using, I think is also kind of weird. I'm thinking of changing the archery one though. So I'm thinking of changing that one a little bit to a different one that I know of, and seeing if that one will look a lot better than what I am currently using. It's not that I don't like the one that I'm using. I liked it a lot before. So I'm going to change that one maybe on the side, maybe when I get a chance to. Also, something that I wanted to mention, for Oblivion modded playthrough, we're going to be going through an area that I love the most in all of Oblivion, so I'm going to definitely go do that. As you probably are no doubt aware, the rules of the series go as follows. When we start a DLC, we have to finish it. So this one is like the DLC kind of thing, so it's pretty long. So we'll probably be more so doing the main quest, and then we're going to be doing the side quests maybe a little later. Or if we find the spot for the side quests, maybe we'll do them at the time, but no. I don't think we'll be able to do all the side quests, though. Well, technically we will be able to do all the side quests, but we won't be able to do all the quests. Only one of them, though, we will have to branch off. I'm going to go for the easy one, I believe, that I know for a fact that I can do. Unless we can use the Dark King's armor at that time. If we can, then I'll use that as a way of doing it too. Yeah, because I'm trying to remember. Yeah, because I think, like, if I remember correctly, yeah, because we'll definitely have a lot of fun with that DLC, definitely. I'll at least have a blast. And that'll definitely make me want to record longer, too, so that's actually going to be awesome. I think out of every one of the DLCs that I know of that Bethesda's made, I haven't played, like, any of Morrowind's, I believe. So, forgive me for not being, like, too cultured in this kind of thing, though, but between Oblivion and Skyrim, this one's probably got the, like, has the cake kind of thing. Like, it's really, really good. Because the only thing I can think of... Yeah, because I think for Skyrim's, I never liked their stories. They seem to... meh. Maybe it's because of Skyrim's landscape that they just seem too bland to me. And it was hilarious just, like, reading the news kind of thing on how the PlayStation couldn't play one of the DLCs. For whatever reason, it was hilarious. It was the funniest thing. Where, what was it? I think it was Dawnguard, I think. That was funny. Just reading the news, like, oh yeah, like, Xbox and PC users are having fun with Dawnguard, but PlayStation users, no, 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 you can't have fun with that. Because there was something wrong with Sony, I think. Sony didn't want people to, like, download content or have DLC for their games or something like that. It was weird. I was confused by everything about it, so I was like, okay, that makes no sense, but okay, whatever. It was something like, I can't remember what it said, but it was like something like that, where like Sony had something against DLCs or had something against Bethesda or something like that of like releasing DLCs like that. So, and that's kind of that might be the reason why Skyrim only had like 3 DLCs instead of like Oblivion's like a monument of like 8 or something like that, which was incredible. And even like Oblivion had some really good gems in terms of DLCs. Like Horse Armor was the infamous one that everybody remembers because it earned like over, what was it, $1 million, I think, or something like that. And all it is just adds Horse Armor to the game. But like my favorites were like the Shivering Isles, definitely, because that's obvious. Knights of the Nine was fine. I wouldn't say it was bad. I think it was just really, really weird. It was just really, really strange. Wait, what was the other one? Ori, because I liked the area that you get at the end of it. And then that's it, pretty much. I think all the other house ones are pretty, like, they're okay in their own way. Like, they all have their, like, their niches, and they all have their sort of, like, their unique properties that make them really good. I think, what was it? Dunbarrow Cave has the vampire cure thing that you can use. Battlehorn Castle has good items for a beginning character and gives you a castle. Can't really forget about that one, right? Wizard's Tower gives you another way of using the Altar of Spellmaking and Enchanting without actually needing to go to the Arcane University. I feel like I'm missing one. I feel like there's another one that I'm forgetting of. Oh, Mehrunes Razor was pretty cool. I think I watched a video of I think I watched a YouTube video of them showing it off. Or someone saying though, like the best the best way to earn money in Oblivion was to, if you had the Mehrunes Razor DLC, go through it. And I was like, okay. What's the other one that I'm thinking of? Oh, the Thieves' Den thing. Yeah, the pirate thing. Yeah, the pirate thing was pretty interesting too. Yeah, I forgot about the pirate thing. Yeah, that pirate one is actually not too bad. It's unique in its own way, and it's kind of got its charm as well. It's not really, it doesn't really have a niche that goes really well with it. Like as I said though, like Deep Scorn Hollow gives you a vampire cure if you ever become a vampire. Like Wizard's Tower or Frostcrag gives you the ability to, you don't need to join the Arcane University in order to use the altars of spellmaking and enchanting. And Ori just looks cool. That's literally all it is. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I'm really sad though about the Shivering Isles is that like it does bring you to a new area, but you don't technically get like the ability to buy a house in the 2 towns that it gives you. Sort of like expanding the world kind of thing. So what I mean by that is that like instead of you, like in the normal game, you could buy a house in every major city -1. And so I thought that, like, in the Shivering Isles, you'd be able to do something similar, even though there's only, like, 2 towns. Or technically 1 major city, but it's split in 2. Kind of funny, though, because there is another town called Split, I think, in the Shivering Isles. Very interesting. Anyway. Yeah. So, that's funny. Yeah, like, out of all the DLCs, I think all of them are really good in their own way. Like, they all have their good niches and stuff like that. Knights of the Nine was okay. Like, I liked it, but it's fine. Spell Tomes is something that I haven't really tested too much on. From what I remember of Spell Tomes, all of them are leveled. But I don't know if they're leveled in a way in which that you need to be able to have it right away or not. So, like, if you have, like, a level 30 character, can you get, like, a level 1 Spell Tome? That part I don't know. It seems like maybe if there was, like, an area that wasn't leveled, maybe you might be able to get away with it. It's fine. But for that kind of stuff, though, what I would end up doing is I would just end up, like, either just giving myself the Spell Tome and just cutting the cost of whatever it is. Oh, also, I did do a little bit of research on spells in Oblivion. Particularly how spells actually cost in terms of gold. Because I never actually learned how that works. Kind of funny, though, because I've been playing Oblivion for almost 2 decades now. And I'm just now learning this, right? So, apparently how a spell's gold cost is whatever the magicka cost is times 3. Unless you can haggle it down, kind of thing. But the most that it will become is 3 times what the magicka cost is. So, because there are some spells that are rewards, specifically the one that we got for the Mage's Guild, which is Wizard's Fury, which is our currently main offensive spell, we can barely use it to take down enemies because of the fact that it only does, I think, like 30 damage altogether. And our enemies are having, like, 300 HP or something like that, and it's like they have so much HP now that it's like it's too weak now. Whereas before, like, we could take, like, 40% of their health or like 50% of their health. Now it's just nothing. Now it's just chump change to them. It's like, that's nothing. I'm still gonna come at you. So now it's like, okay, like, what do I want to get? Like, how do I want to get it? How do I want it done, kind of thing. So now, like, it comes to the point in which that it becomes in the sense of, like, how do I want it done? Now, I already made a rule at the beginning of the series that if I wanted to do a leveled up item, I would grab whatever the current one that I have's value is and subtract it from what the new item that I want is. So go for what I would currently get a hold of. Can I get the Lugia now? No. I'm guessing it's after you beat Claire, maybe? Yeah, I guess it's after I beat Claire. Okay. But as I said, though, like, that's kind of like how it is, though, which is... But for the most part, though, like, I absolutely love my, like, what our character has been able to do. Like, with the Wizard's Fury, like, it's not the worst spell possible. I think it's one of the best. Let's see here. See if I can find that reward. Oh. Let's see here. Yeah, because I think like most of the items that we get as rewards from the Mages Guild actually help us out so much. Actually helps counter mages. Which is very hilarious that a Mages Guild would give you items that would help you take down mages. Yeah, I'm still trying to see if I could find it. That's weird. Still haven't found it yet. But I know, like, it's very... Like, the one that we got was very weak because we did it at, like, level 4 or something like that, so... It was before I changed how the game allows us to level, so instead of grabbing experience from quests, we were able to, Here it is. Okay. Yeah, because let's see. So we only do 19 damage with Wizard's Fury. And if we were able to get it towards where we are around today, I think we're level 24, but we're close to level 25. So if I wait till level 25, we could do about... 146 damage. 146 damage. The 96 is just fire, whereas the Frost and Shock is just 25 points each. Which is a huge, huge increase. But if anybody really wants, I can go like 3 times the value with what it would cost originally because of the fact that the spell costs a little less than half. Which I wouldn't mind paying like practically 1,000 gold just to get a more powerful spell. That will drain our magicka by like a ton, but will actually help us out in the long run. Oh yeah. It'll just increase our damage per second, man. We'll just like be able to cast a spell. Boom, done. Enemy down. It's awesome. But the only thing is that, like, I don't even know if we have the prerequisite skills for it, though. So I'll probably go up to the one where we have the skills for it. So, like, level 25 apparently is for expert destruction users. So, like, if we're not an expert in destruction, I don't want to just go and give myself an expert destruction spell, right? Because I can't use it then. Because how I'm going to do it is that I'm going to go and remove the spell, take the gold, and then give myself the higher spell. So though at the very least though we get like an upgrade for it. But yeah, so it's fine. There you go, yeah, because the other one that's also there is Fingers of the Mountain. And that one is incredibly overpriced. For no reason. So at level 1, it's perfect. It's what it should be. But for any other level, it is worse. So from 5 and onward, it's like it costs 50% more magicka than it should. which is weird. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else here. I'm just reading up a little bit on the... Yeah, like I'm just trying to like read a little bit of Fingers of the Mountain. Yeah, nothing is really too great. Ooh, I didn't know that. So apparently, one of the items you get during the Mages Guild gives you a quest or gives you a spell. It's actually really incredible. Okay, so it's about 45% cheaper than what it could be. Oh, it maybe. Okay, so about 50-ish to about 50, 45, depending on where you are. And then it starts going down and then it goes back up a little bit. I don't know how else to explain it. Yeah, I don't know how else to explain it, because it's like... Yeah, it looks like it's just like one off. And then it would just be like 50%. Except for the first one, which is only 2 off. So you could say it's like 51% cheaper. Yeah. But that is interesting now. And it's such a nice spell too. It's a nice touch spell that allows you to absorb health, magic, and fatigue, which is really nice. Especially for mages. And what's really interesting about it is that technically, if you're able to get it to work on the opposing, if you're able to get it to work on the opposing opponent, you pretty much get some of your magicka back. And I don't even think that this counts towards the magicka cost reduction you get whenever you go and use the what's it called? The magicka reduction you get whenever you increase your skills. So these could be like even cheaper. And that's insane. So you can get a 25 cost that will restore your magicka by 10 points at the end of its its own timer. And not to mention, though, that the spell will be cheaper because of it, too. Because of it later on. Oh, that is so interesting. And in case anybody's wondering why I wanted my spells to be lesser powers, and one technically to be greater power. Well, the greater power makes sense. It makes you pretty much invincible for about, I think it's like 10 seconds. I think it's like 10 to 30, I think. I don't know. I think it is 10. The reason why you have it doing that instead is because of the fact that, like, if you ever looked at how a lot of like the greater powers and lesser powers are, they're always usually at a good neutral cost compared to what they actually do, which is incredible in their own way. I don't remember how to do this puzzle. No, I don't think I did that right. No? Okay. Seriously? What if I go here then? No. Okay, what do I need to land? Okay, so if I land there, okay, so I can see it now. Yeah, so I need to go... It's like that. Go down here. There you go. But yeah, now I'm just coming up with ideas of trying to get this spell. Even though there's only, like, technically one way. Which is very, very sad that there's only one method of doing it. Okay, so I can't do anything about that right now. Let's move that down there. Let's go up here. Right, or should I have moved down? Oh, I should have moved down. Now I find the wild Pokemon. Okay. I'm trying to remember this puzzle, but I'm also trying to also not be silent too much, but I'm trying to like figure it out too. And it's weird though because like I know for a fact that like I did this in gold too. So I have to do that. You have to go move it there, go down one, go up, move this here, which will move this there. Okay. Okay, that's done. Okay. Where's the boulder for this area? Okay. Then we go round. Okay. Okay, so we want to go here. Go up here. Okay. And now we want to move this up head all the way down. I should have done that before, but I couldn't remember if we actually loop back, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't know if we actually went around like so. If I would have known that, I probably would have done this already. Alright, now with that done, we now have little boulders that we can go off of. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. Okay. So we head there, go around here. There we go. Perfect. Alright, that's done. All we need to do is just readjust. I think that if I was a kid, I'd probably get stuck at that puzzle, because I'm terrible at those kinds of puzzles. If I saw the whole, like, because of the way that the map looks, or like technically like because it doesn't give you the full view. If it was one of those things where like you get to see the full like map and then you get to plan around it, I could probably do it. I don't really care about the item. That thing could be like the most infamous item in the game that could instantly one-shot everybody, and I wouldn't care. Even though there is no such thing as an item like that in all of Pokemon, but you know what I mean. I won't be persuaded. Yay, we're here. We can try our best at the gym. I don't think we'll be able to do much, though. Maybe we'll be able to beat the gym. Who knows? We definitely won't be able to do the Dragon's Den thing, I think. Should be able to handle this, though. With relative ease. Alright. Dratini. Cool. I'm going to take you out with Gust. I think the only Pokemon that like I'll be terrified of is Kingdra, because I think Kingdra will survive. But Ho-Oh is more of a physical attacker than Lugia, so maybe it won't survive. Because Lugia is more of a special attacker, and because like I think I had to use between Aeroblast and what's the other name? And Shadow Ball, which are both physical moves. Actually, now that I think about it, it's very weird though that like the signature moves of the legendaries, so Ho-Oh and Lugia, they both have their signature moves as a type that is the opposite of what they are. So what do I mean by that? So Lugia is a special attacker, but yet its signature move, Aeroblast, is a physical type. And Ho-Oh, whose signature move is Fire, is a special type. And how to know if your move is physical or special in the before Gen 4 is you look at the type. The type will tell you exactly what it is. Any of the evolutions, I think there was, like, somebody said though, like, because Sylveon exists, Fairy would also be considered special. So pretty much any of the evolutions plus Dragon are special. Not because they're special and dear to my heart, but because they're actually special type. I guess the ice area mostly is just to prepare you for this area. Their policies use Pokemon that are stronger than Dragon? Well, that's kind of hard because the only two types are Dragon and Ice. So you're using Water and a Dragon. But don't worry, don't worry. He doesn't use Dragon. He uses things that are stronger against Dragon. But again, there's only two types in this game. That's why I still find it funny, though, that the only type that only has one weakness is Electric. I'm not joking. There's only one type in all of Pokemon that only has one weakness, and that is Electric. Electric is only weak to ground. It makes sense. I'm not saying it doesn't make. I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense. I'm just wondering why there's only one type in all of Pokemon that has only one weakness, and yet Dragon that had two weaknesses, mind you, but most of the dragons were quad weak to one of its weaknesses, mind you, needed another weakness. Like, I'm so confused. Like, if you really wanted... Wait, what? I'm confused here. Do you want me to... No, because I can't do that. Oh, I guess I'm supposed to go down these stairs then? That's exactly what it is, okay. Yeah, because, like, I'm trying to... Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense, though, that, like, a type that only has one weakness still only has one weakness. A type that has two weaknesses... doesn't, like, I don't understand. I have a question because I don't know exactly what its weaknesses is, because I think it's the same boat for this, but I think it's because it's more common, if that makes sense. Okay, so in current versions, or not really in current versions, but like in that, so Dragon shared similarities to the Ghost typing in terms of how they associated their weaknesses, which is two, itself and another type. So maybe they wanted to remove that. Maybe they wanted to remove it so there was no distinction between that, but that doesn't make any sense either, because it doesn't really make sense in my opinion. But it's weird. It's just weird in my opinion that they did it this way. But I remember I made that point, or I thought of this a similar thing when I first got a Salamence. I think I was saying like, that's kind of weird that dragon's only weak to 2 things. And then I realized that when it said like dragon and ice, I'm like, wait, isn't there another type that does something similar to that? And I couldn't remember what it was, but it's ghost. Yeah, like ghost is only weak to dark and ghost, which is interesting. Because that doesn't make much sense to me. Like, why would you have a type that's only weak to itself and another type twice, but yet there's only one type in all of Pokemon that is weak to only one type? Like, electric is so broken, and especially since it already has one Pokemon that literally has no weaknesses. Wanna know why? Well, it's because it has Levitate, which means that ground type moves don't affect it. Oh wait, because electric only has one weakness, and because that weakness is ground, and Levitate prevents ground type moves from affecting you, oh my god, it's got no weaknesses. And this Pokemon was introduced before Fairy type was introduced. So you know what Fairy could have done? Fairy could have been super effective against Electric and Dragon, and it would neutralize many of the offensive typings that are actually very dangerous. Since, I don't know, Electric only has one weakness. But then again, most Pokemon can learn ground type moves, so I guess that might be what technically makes it neutral in its own way. But not when you have one Pokemon that's actually not weak to anything. That's why when I had a Gen 5... that's why when I found a Gen 5 save, that was hilarious because it actually had a... It had... What was it? It had... What was it? Ah, brain. I need you to catch up, please. Oh, it had a Spirit Tomb with Wonder Guard. Okay, if you do not know, in Gen 5, there were 2 Pokemon that did not have weaknesses. These 2 Pokemon, by the way, were Spiritomb and Sableye, because they were dark ghost types. So nothing was super effective against them. And because nothing was super effective against them, nothing could defeat them if you gave it the ability Wonder Guard, which means that the only thing that can hit them is moves that are super effective. But there is none. There is no moves that are super effective against a dark ghost type. But when I did a lot of research on dark type because I wanted to figure out what the best type combination for a Arceus was, I came to the conclusion, because I had a guidebook, I think it was for Black and White, I think, and it had the type chart at the back. I was researching it a lot. Like, I was looking at different type combinations. I was trying to figure out different move pools and different move sets that would make the Arceus like such an overpowered threat. And I kept reading and reading and reading, and I'm like, well, the only thing that makes sense is Dark. Dark is only weak to 2 types. And the only ones that you need to counter are technically 3 types, which you can counter with 3 type of moves. Dark, Fighting, and Flying. If you have those, you win. The only thing you need to do is outspeed and be able to one-hit KO the opponent, no matter which move you use of those 3 types. Then you win. There's nothing you can lose. Because the only thing that I can think of, because of all my research, I found out that Bug was one of the super effective moves against Dark. So when I did my research for Spirit Tomb and Sableye, I was like, okay, they only have one weakness. They only have Bug as their weakness. Because I thought Ghost doesn't do anything for Bug. And then my friend, because I was still in school at this time, we were going through Link battles, and it was funny just to see them like the Wonder Guard Spirit Tomb kind of thing. Like it was for jokes, it was for laughs. We didn't take too seriously, right? So when he was trying to figure out different ways of finding it, there was one solution that he came up with. So, the weakness that Wonder Guard has is that there are some moves that ignore abilities. So if you were not fully aware, there was an ability called Turbo Blaze on a Reshiram. Or as I used to call it, Reshiram, because that's how I thought it was pronounced. Anyway, so my friend was using a Reshiram, and I was using I think it was my Spirit Tomb. And while we were fooling around with that, his Reshiram was used a move, I can't remember what it was, and it landed through Wonder Guard, and I was baffled by that. How did your Pokemon bypass my Wonder Guard? That's weird. And then we found out that, at that time, like, oh, by the way, Turbo Blaze neutralizes it. So I went, oh no, that's a threat. So I switched into a Rayquaza, and the Rayquaza pretty much took out the Reshiram, and then I went back into my Spirit Tomb and went, okay, now the threat's gone. And then we proceeded to continue onward like nothing ever happened. So it was very funny. But it was all for fun. It was all for jokes and laughs, so it was fine. Was my friend a little angry at the fact that I was using a Spirit Tomb with no weaknesses? I mean, wouldn't you be angry at the fact that you can't hit a Pokemon because it has an ability that only one Pokemon's supposed to have? Of course. It's the equivalent of, what was it? What is it? It's like if you gave Slacking huge power. Okay, first of all, Slacking is stronger than some legendaries. I almost said most. Some legendaries. I think it's close to box art legendaries too. And if you gave that thing huge power, oh boy, you win. Hands down, you won. There's no way you can't lose. You just won at that moment. Huge power Slacking, you win. Because Slacking's attack is base 160. And how huge power works is that whatever you have at the attack, it is doubled. So if 160, let's say, is like over, we'll say 450 attack. So add like 225 attack on top of that. So now your Pokemon is over 600 attack. You want to know what Pokemon in all of Pokemon that actually has a stat that you can actually get, not counting Eternatus here, you can actually get a hold of that will actually have a stat that goes over 600? I think it's only one, but I want to make sure that I am correct on that. Okay, there's two Pokemon, sorry. But I want to see what actually Slacking's like base power attack is. Because I have a feeling that I might have like underballed it. 460. I kind of underballed it, but not by much. There are 2 Pokemon in all of Pokemon that have a stat that is close to it. Want to know what that is? They are the 2 most bulkiest Pokemon because of their HP. Chansey and Blissey. And what is their HP? Their base HP is, well, their base HP is over 200. So, considering the fact that, like, your attack is, like, over 600, your attack is pretty much just as much as their HP is. But you want to know what the big difference between the 2 is? Slacking still has other stats. Blissey and Chansey only have, like, a lot of HP and a lot of special defense. Everything else is just not as on par to it. So, you really don't want to mess with it, kind of thing. Alright, so that's going to be it for now. I'm sorry for that long rant or talk or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, that's going to be it for today. Next time, we're going to try and get the Lugia, I'm pretty sure. And we're going to go and see what Professor Elm wants. So, yeah. So I'll see you guys next time for some more Pokemon Silver.